All right, welcome back to another video on Hemiptera, suborder Heteroptera, in the Great Basin National Park BioBlitz event. We are talking about some families in this video that are pretty exciting. Not that the others weren't, but this one has some aquatic examples, and whoa, they're pretty unique and they're pretty wild. So hang on tight and let's learn about some aquatic Heteropterans here. Here's the family groups that we'll be looking at. Just 4 again, so not that much. There are a ton of families out there. We're being real gentle here, just doing a few. So definitely zone in, get these down. We picked these in a large part because they're pretty iconic. They're some of the larger species, some of the more recognizable species that are included in these family groups. So the first family that we have for you is Belostomatidae, or the giant water bugs. There's a lot of other really fun common names like toe biters and things like that. But it's the largest of all the hemipterans out there. So yeah, that's a pretty big title to hold. It's pretty awesome. When I'm talking about large, I'm talking about 4.5 inches in the case of some of these giant water bugs of this species here in Madagascar. Just massive. Here in North America, not quite as large, but they can be a few inches. Probably not a close, they're probably a really close second to these other ones in Madagascar. We have some big ones here in North America. They're definitely predatory. They're using their proboscis to stab into other insects, small vertebrate animals as well. You can see here in this photo, I think this is in Asia, where this species is actually attacking a baby turtle. Super sad, right? That's like, wow, Cody, how did you put that photo on here? I know, but it makes a lasting impact, I guess. It shows you how powerful these insects are. Pretty wild, especially for a hemipteran. Just wild to me. They're pretty much fully aquatic, and they do that by way of this snorkel that you can see. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse. Let me grab my laser again. This snorkel here at the end of their abdomen that they use to breathe and to get oxygen. So they zoom around, they're very adept swimmers, and they use these really huge grasping forelegs to grab onto their prey item and then inject a really intense saliva through their bite that actually can cause paralysis in smaller organisms. You don't want to be bit by one of these, it would hurt pretty bad. So definitely leave them alone if you see them in a pond or a river or something like that. But an incredible insect and very unique, especially within those of the aquatic insects. They're a powerful predator. The family Corixidae is a good one to know. Water boatmen. Most of the species in this group are going to be in fresh. There are some saline examples. I imagine that's in like brackish kind of estuary systems. I don't know if there's any fully marine species. I'm pretty sure that there aren't, but yeah, it's neat to know they can kind of go back and forth between water types a little bit. They're usually unique to other swimming insects that look similar to them by the fact that they swim with their belly down, their back up. So they're right side up. And you might think, well, obviously, of course they are. Some of the other families that we're going to talk about actually swim upside down. So keep that in mind. If you see a little swimming hemipteran that has these hemelytron, again, there's our hemelytra. It's not a beetle. It has the 2 different parts, the membranous section and the thicker upper section of the hemelytron forewing there. If it's right side up, it's probably a water boatman, family Corixidae. Most are feeding on plant material as well, or rotting plant material at the bottom of like a stream or something. And so some of the other things that look similar to them are usually predatory, so that makes them a little more unique too. If you see them feeding on algae or some kind of aquatic plant, that'd be a dead giveaway as well. And just like a lot of the other hemipterans we're talking about, you can see this triangular mouth part where they're, piercing into a plant and taking up nutrients that way. It kind of, even in this very unique aquatic insect, that theme of piercing and sucking kind of just follows throughout all of these families and the genera we talk about, the species, individual species we talk about. Very interesting. But they're a beautiful little group of insects, and definitely go out and look in some freshwater aquatic ecosystems and see if you can find some Corixidae for us. Really cool. Another that looks very similar is the family Notonectidae. These are the backswimmers. And so their main difference is that they'll be swimming upside down in the water, which is kind of silly looking, but it gives them that name, right? That's how they got their name. They sit there, look like they're doing the backstroke. Their hind legs are used primarily to paddle, unlike some of the other swimming aquatic hemipterans that might be out there. And also these hind legs have fringed hair-like projections coming off the leg. It helps with swimming as well. So this is a great view here of this photo. If you ever get a chance to take a sample of one in the water and look at it, you might see this. Keep in mind these guys can bite. I've heard sometimes they can actually be painful if you trap them in your hand or something, so be careful. Use a collection jar or something like that, trying not to touch them directly. And obviously in this BioBlitz, we're doing things virtually, so you can take photos of things too and avoid all that altogether. They can actually disperse by flight, which I thought was super interesting when I was reading through this. So if they were in a small puddle and needed to get to another body of water, they could fly. Very interesting. And what else can I mention here? So usually they'll be in like still water of like a pond or a small like vernal pool or something like that is where you might see something like a backswimmer. There's a lot of species, so go look more into this family and get more acquainted. And don't get a proboscis bite. That would hurt. All right, I think this is our last family here in Heteroptera. And it's a good one to end on because Gerridae, or water striders, are really, really interesting. Not only just in the way they feed, but the way they live. They are sitting on the top of water. It's an incredible habitat that they've chosen. There's quite a few of them, 1,700 described species. Most of them are in freshwater. And what makes them even more unique is that there are some species in this Halobates genus that live in the ocean or the sea. They're marine. And that is incredibly unique because I think they're the only hemipterans and possibly, I think the only insects in the world that are actually on salt water full time. And some of them even live in the open sea. There's some amazing information out there on all the different species. I really encourage you to go look into that. But yeah, there's some incredible examples here. If you go up to some of the alpine lakes or some of the lower lakes even too, and ponds here in the Intermountain West, Nevada, definitely in the park, you will see these. They're all over the western states, all over North America, so you'll definitely encounter these commonly. Their ability to stand on water is enabled by this hair-like projections that they come out all over their feet, and they kind of spread out the surface area, and they do a good job of attracting oxygen and detracting or pushing away water. And they are light and spread out their weight too in such a way that they're using that kind of hair-like projection on their legs and spreading out their weight over the surface evenly, that they can sit right on the membrane of the surface of the water. The water molecules like to hold together with those hydrogen bonds, and so they use that kind of tension where the water's drawing together to stand. It's incredible. And you can see in these photos where it's actually where their legs encounter the water, there's this dimpling that goes on. It's just the right amount of force to keep them up on top of the water. And while they're on top of the water, they are using their forelegs to collect insects and like aquatic larvae of mosquitoes and other insects that are semi-aquatic. And they grab them and feed on them with their proboscis, just like some of the other hemipterans that we've talked about, and specifically Heteropterans. And you can see they would have that hemelytron with partial thicker portion at the top and then more membranous portion towards the bottom of the wings. That different wing type. So yeah, water striders, great family to know, and hopefully you see a lot of them out in your BioBlitz experience this summer. Thanks so much, and go click on some other videos that Amy creates on some of the other suborders within Hemiptera. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good